Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest in the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today is a very special episode. I've been waiting for this one, man. So we have author Adam Porter on the line. He's the CEO of Strategic Wealth Strategies, and he's the author of Tax-Free Retirement Solutions, How to Protect Your Wealth from Rising Taxes, and many other books, by the way. So we'll get into that whole catalog. First thing first, Alan, man, I'm finally glad we could make this happen. Welcome to the show.
Well, I very much appreciate you inviting me.
So, Alan, we're going to do a deep dive into your book, of course, and also just what you're doing overall to help individuals when it comes to what you're doing over at Strategic Wealth Strategies. But before we do that, we'll start this episode the way that we start them all, with what we like to call our Mission Matters Minute. So, Alan, at Mission Matters, our aim and our goal is to amplify stories for entrepreneurs, executives, and experts. That's what we do. Alan, what mission matters to you?
Well, people ask me all the time, what I do. And I tell them it's not what I do, it's why I do it. I teach my clients to think outside the box of conventional financial planning and create a paradigm shift in how they think about their money. My goal is to educate them on the financial strategies the wealthy and the banking institutions have been using for years. And you know what? Once they learn them, everything changes. They stop worrying about the future and start living with confidence. Protection of the family and safety of their assets just isn't my professional goal. It's my personal mission. Now, I strive to understand what's in the hearts and minds of my clients, not just what's in their bank account. And I ask, I'm like a doctor. I ask question after question to uncover their goals, desires, and values. Because if I didn't, it would be malpractice. But then I design a financial strategy that fits them perfectly and solves their financial plans. Their financial problems. Yeah. You know, I was a Black Hawk instructor pilot for many years. I retired back in 1993. And I learned that precision, strategy, and protection saves lives. And in finance, these same principles protect wealth. Now, understand this. I have a team of people. I'm not just by myself. And I've learned that a long time ago. You have to have a team of people. Yeah. I have a team of people that are tax-specific attorneys, CPAs, and other specialists in their fields. And what we do, we collaborate to come up with solutions for people's financial problems. What we do basically is we show people how to reduce and possibly eliminate all debt in retirement, set them up with a tax-free retirement, protect them from the risk in retirement that a stock portfolio only compounds, and also create tax-free money that's generational. No, my practice is not product-driven, it's process-driven.
First off, thank you for sharing that, and love to bring mission-based individuals on the line to share, why they do what they do, how they're doing, and what we can all learn from that. So that's great stuff. How'd you get into this business? I want to go back in time a bit. You mentioned you're a Black Hawk, flight, pilot, and then to this. Talk to me about that transition, because it's amazing what you've chosen to dedicate your lives to.
I didn't think I'd ever be doing this. I retired.
I didn't think so, right?
Yeah. Like I said, back in 1993, and I love flying. I love serving my country, and I had a passion for flying. But I had a successful real estate and mortgage business after that, up until about 2008 when the mortgage crisis hit. But Adam, I've had tragic things happen to my family. My son, I lived in Fayetteville, North Carolina. My son lived in Little Rock, Arkansas with his family. His wife, Lynn, was 39. They had two little daughters. They were 7 and 4. And we went down for Christmas in 2009. Well, my son, Adam, had been 100% disabled for over 3 years and still not getting a disability. I hired an attorney. He finally got his disability in the summer of 2010. Wow. But January 5th, 2010 changed my entire life. You always hear people say, this changed my entire life. Well, this day changed my entire life. His wife called me up, Lynn. She said, Alan, I've been diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and they've given me 6 months to live. Of course, we were all devastated. But now there's no money coming in my son's family, and I'm helping him out, but I don't know for how long. Until I have to sell my house, move into an apartment, whatever. We do what we have to do. But I was like 99% of the people out there, Adam, that thought life insurance was a death product, that you had to die to benefit from it. Well, little did I know, she had a terminal illness rider on her life insurance policy that let her access the death benefit, which was in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, completely tax-free, which I knew nothing about at the time. And if it had not been for that, my son would be bankrupt. And it took a huge financial strain off of me. Well, to make a long story short, she died a year later. And I moved my son and my granddaughters back here. They live behind me here in Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Yeah.
my oldest one had gone off to college, and she just graduated from North Carolina, where she's now pursuing a doctorate's degree.
Congrats,
And
man. That's amazing. I have to give some love right there. First off, congrats. That's an amazing accomplishment for her. Continue, please.
after she's done this and everything, my health problems for my kids didn't end there. About a year after this, my daughter, who's an oncology nurse, her husband's a doctor, had just given birth to my third grandson. And she developed breast cancer, and it was very bad. We didn't think she was going to live. Well, thank God she's over 12 years cancer-free now. But back in 2023, she also contracted Graves' disease and thyroid eye condition. And there's no cure for it, but they have a treatment. I think it's called Tripeza. It's 8 infusions of this particular drug, and the first one was like $32,000. The last one was almost $250,000, and that was May of 2023. The problem is, in 2024, January of 2024, the thyroid eye condition came back. And she went to the doctor in February. The doctor said, Nicole, I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do until you go blind, and then we can operate. You know, what a prognosis. So we tried to get her to study at Duke. She didn't qualify for it because she was taking the Tripeza. She did get into the Mayo Clinic in Rochester. She was up there for about 4 days consulting and consultations. But basically, there's nothing they can do for her either. They've got some drug. It's maybe 50% effective. It's not even for the thyroid eye condition. And believe it or not, it's even more expensive than the Tripeza was. I mean, that's just unbelievable. But that's the reason I got into this business. When I started to find out what insurance products do, and I'm thinking to myself, why don't people know this? You know, this created a paradigm shift in my thinking over 15 years ago. And it's changed my entire life, and it's changed the lives of thousands of my clients and many of the people that don't become my clients, but I educate, because my whole thing is about education.
Obviously, this was a progression, right? So many things happened to you and your family, and you understood the need for financial protection. When did this become a business for you? Like, what was the kind of like the turning point there?
Well, when I got my insurance license, I was doing insurance and mortgage banking all at the same time. And then I got to thinking, I hated what I was doing in the mortgage business. And I started learning more and more and more, and I started writing books. I spoken at Harvard. I spoken at West Point. I've been on all the major networks. I've been published in almost 1,600 publications across the United States.
Wow, that's amazing. Go ahead.
You know, when I was flying in the Army, I flew the OH-58, the UH-1 Huey, and the Black Hawk, and I read one book or one manual. That was the operator's manual for the particular helicopter I was flying. And for Black Hawk, I still remember the emergency procedures, limitations. I knew every nut, bolt, stability augmentation system, flight path stabilization system. But if I had an emergency, I knew what to do to get that aircraft on the ground without loss of life or limb. And I've got over 6,000 hours that I'm credited with no accident and no loss of life, and 2,000 of those hours under night vision goggles, where the pucker factor goes way up.
So now you decide that you're and you mentioned something about books and and you didn't say the word, but I'll say the catalog of books is what you really have. So talk to me about that and kind of how you've designed that.
Well, when I spoke at Harvard and West Point, people told me you need to write a book. So people, you know, when I spoke at Harvard, I had about 150 people there. They were top CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, attorneys, successful business people. And I'm looking out to them, and after my speech, they come up to me, Alan, they said, I've never heard of any of these strategies. You need to write a book. And that's where my first book came out. But I mean, in the financial industry, there's education all the time. Just like with the big, beautiful bill that's come out, things change all the time. And that's why I have a team of people that I work with, because I'm very good when it comes to insurance products. But when it comes to taxes and other financial strategies, that's why I have a team of people that I work with. And I understand this. I have specialists on my team. And what I mean by specialists, let's say I'm your family doctor. Now, I can treat you for minor illnesses and minor injuries. But if you want your knee operated on, you're going to want the specialist, the orthopedic surgeon. And that's what I have on my team: tax-specific attorneys, CPAs, and other specialists in their fields. And we come up with solutions for people's financial problems.
Let's get into let's fast forward a bit here. I want to talk about your most recent release, tax. And for everybody listening, just so you know, we'll definitely put some links in the show notes so that you can just click on the links, pick up a copy of the new book, and also explore some of the previous catalog of Alan's as well. But let's get into the current day book. So, Tax-Free Retirement Solution: How to Protect Your Wealth from Rising Taxes. What sparked this book? Why this book? Why now?
Well, the one I did before that was Wealth Beyond Taxes, but
Mhm.
this is more personal. This is basically my whole life encased in everything and everything what I do to show people.
Mm.
I show people about things that they have no idea about. It's like
Yeah.
effective interest cost. Most people don't know what effective interest cost. In fact, 99% of the people I talk to include
Hmm.
CPAs, attorneys, and financial advisors, don't either. But I'm going to give you
Hmm.
a perfect example. I had this gentleman, he was 42 years of age. He just retired from the military and he wanted to do my tax-free retirement system.
Hmm.
And I said, that's fine, but how much debt do you have? He said, well, Alan, we bought a new house a couple of months ago. We got a couple of car payments and credit card and a loan. And I said, okay, I want you to fill out this form and we'll do a Zoom conference the following week.
Yeah.
I told him, I said, you've got $461,000 in debt. That's not your problem.
Mm.
I said, the problem is you got a 2.75% interest rate on your mortgage, don't you? I said, yeah.
Hmm.
I said, do you realize your effective interest rate on that, your effective interest cost on that 2.75% mortgage is 46.97%?
Mm.
He looked at me, big bug eyes. He says, Alan, how is that possible? I said, because it's not going to get down to the 2.75 until the last couple of months of the mortgage.
Yeah.
I said, you've got a credit card here that's over 90% effective interest cost. And believe it or not, out of most people's credit cards are anywhere from 80 to 90% effective interest costs, and they
Oh
have
yeah.
no idea about it. But I said,
Mm.
even though you've got great credit, your average effective interest cost is over 46%. Is over 46%. And I
Hmm.
said, you're contributing to a 401k and you're putting $1,000 a month into that, aren't you? I said, do you realize that 46 cents of every dollar that you pay out goes to compound interest for some financial institution? And that money's gone for you forever. It'll never compound for you. And he
Mm.
said, well, I know. In fact, I lost 10% in my 401k last year.
Mm.
So I asked him, I said, how long is it going to take you to pay your bills off the way you're doing it? He says, well, we're paying extra on our mortgage. I said, well, that's what most people do, but it'll be 20 some years. Well, I'll tell you what, with my strategy and my solution and a tax-free bucket of money and a whole life insurance policy. Now, I want you to understand this. We're going
Mm.
to we're going to take that $1,000 and we're going to put it into this whole life insurance policy for 10 years. It's all paid up.
Mm.
And we're going to have all your bills paid off 14.17 years faster. We're going to
Mm.
save you over $73,000 in interest. And at the 10th year, there's going to be over $130,000 that you become your own bank. You're never
Mm.
going to have to borrow money from a bank for a car, college education for your kids, or anything else. And on top of that, there's $400,000 in a tax-free death benefit to protect your family in case something happens to you. And
Mm.
I said, I want you to understand this. Now we can do my tax-free retirement plan using
Yeah.
index universal life insurance. But you don't have to pay any more into this policy. You're 52 years of age. I've showed you how to become your own bank.
Mm.
Adam, I've been doing this for a decade and a half, and I don't know why people don't do this. It's
Yeah.
not that hard.
Yeah.
But so I said, by the time you're 65, there's going to be over $250,000 in a tax-free bucket of money that you can use to supplement your retirement and policy loans. And understand this. It does not affect the taxation of Social Security or the means testing for Medicare Part B, which will be in
Mm.
the thousands of dollars per year. You're protected from lawsuits, liens, and judgments. It eliminates or mitigates all the risk in retirement that a stock portfolio only compounds. And understand this also. Now the death benefit is over $600,000 that you can use to help protect yourself from long-term care. And a lot of
Yeah.
people, well, majority of people are not prepared for long-term care.
For sure.
Understand this, 70% of all Americans are going to need long-term care at some point in their life. And right now it costs between $50,000 to $200,000 a year for long-term care, and it goes up by 6%
Hmm.
every year. But you're able to mitigate or eliminate the risk of long-term care for pennies on the dollar with tax-free money that your death benefit can provide. Now you can use up to
Mm.
90% of that to use it for long-term care. Part of that has to be used for insurance. But
Mm.
when he finds this stuff out, he says, my God, Alan, you made a dream of mine come true, but why don't people know this? I
Yeah.
said, it's
Why
not
don't
rocket
people know,
science.
Alan? Why don't people know? It's
Well, it's
interesting.
not rocket science. It ought to be taught in high school.
Mm,
But I have doctors, they're not taught anything about the finances. They should be
mm,
because they make a lot of money. They need to know how to protect it. And
yeah.
doctors are very hard to talk to sometimes because obviously doctors are very, very smart and think they know everything. I
Yeah.
say that as a joke, but I find that with a lot of things. But
Mm-hmm.
uh, it's all about education. And I've even got clients that have PhD degrees in accounting and finance,
Mm,
and they don't know what I'm talking about. They ask me to
mm,
teach their classes, which I gladly do.
mm,
But again, like it's all a matter of education. That's what I want to do. I want to educate the people out there, like I said in the beginning, the financial strategies that the wealthy in banking have been using for years and create a
mm.
paradigm shift in their thinking about their financial future.
Now, what you mentioned one scenario of a gentleman that was in his 50s. Does this work for individuals that are younger too as well, or even maybe more advanced in age? Like, give us a little bit of a flavor, a feeling for how that can look.
Are you talking about the life insurance itself?
The strategy you just mentioned. The
Oh,
strategy. So when you're
you
talking
can
about
use
effective and
anybody can
interesting
use
time,
this.
but give maybe another example, like just so that people can kind of really understand what you're talking about.
Well, understand anybody can use
Hmm.
these set strategies. The younger you are, the better it is because the cost of insurance is
Yeah.
down. But I'm 72. I didn't start this until I was 58 years of age. Now I had a term life insurance policy,
Mm.
but I've become my own bank. I bought
Hmm.
2 new cars in the last 2 years, and understand this. I don't even have to pay those loans back if I don't want to. I've taken loans from my cash value. I
Mm.
don't even have to pay those loans back if I don't want to. It just comes off the death benefit. Now, it
Hmm.
cures interest. But I want you to understand something. If you take that money and bought a car, let's say it's $40,000 and your payment is $1,000 a month
Yeah.
with the interest and everything. If you pay that to a financial institution, that money is gone for you forever. It'll never
Yep.
compound for you. It'll compound for the bank. But
Hmm.
what I'm doing is borrowing from myself and I'm paying myself back. Okay. I'm paying myself back. When I have my car paid off, I will have tens of thousands of dollars more in
Mm.
my cash value because my cash value continues to compound. That loan that I took out is a lien against the death benefit. It does not affect
Hmm.
your cash value, which continues to compound, and people are not aware of that.
Yeah.
The other thing that people don't understand is when I borrow from my cash value life insurance, okay,
Hmm.
I may be charged 5%. Well, I put this into financial strategies and indexing strategies because I'm guaranteed by contract never to lose money to a market downturn because I'm not tied to the market. We use indexing strategies to grow our cash value,
Hmm.
which would be the dynamic balance index, the Euro index, the S&P 500 index. But my indexes are always more than the 5%. So let's
Yeah.
say that the indices made 8% that year. Well, I have to pay 5%. My policy continues to compound at 8%. It's called arbitrage. I pay 5% for the money I borrow. I'm
Hmm.
making 8%. So that's a 3% spread. It's called arbitrage. And that's the way banks do this all the time. They
Yeah.
love it. I mean, you put $100,000 in a savings account and they may pay you 1%, maybe 2%.
Mm.
But then they go loan that money out at 5 and 6% for mortgages, 10% for car payments, 30%
Hmm.
for credit cards. The banks do it every day.
Yeah.
And understand this, you can go to FDIC.com and you can come up with every major asset of every major bank in the United States.
Hmm.
And they have cash value life insurance, whether it's whole life or index universal life, as their top tier one asset.
Mm.
It's more than twice as much they have in real estate and 10 times as much as they have in stock portfolio.
Mm.
And I asked people, I said, it's called BOLI, Bank Owned Life Insurance. Corporations have the same thing, COLI, corporation owned life insurance. And I asked people, I said, these banks are supposed to have the greatest financial minds in the world.
Mm.
But it's what, if they have these cash value life insurance as part of their assets, why don't you?
Mhm. Yeah,
Now
that's
understand,
a great one. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not against the stock portfolio,
Mhm.
but I want people to be diversified. And when I say diversified, people tell me, "Oh, I'm diversified in my stock account." No, you're not diversified in your stock account
Mm.
because when the market goes down, everything goes down. Now you
Mm.
may have, certain stocks that remain active and grow, but what happened in 2008? We had a
Oh, yeah.
38 to 52% loss in the market, and I didn't see any of the stocks going up. What about the
Yeah.
Great Depression?
Mhm.
Insurance products are hundreds of years old, and they're the only financial product that that provided dividends during the Great Depression.
Mm.
And when people talk and I call them financial entertainers, Susie Orman and Dave Ramsey,
Yeah.
they say life insurance is a terrible investment. Well, first off, it's not an investment. In fact,
Mm-hmm.
it's derogatory to call insurance products an investment. They're an asset class all of their own. There's
Mm-hmm.
no other financial product that can provide the protection, the benefits, and the confidence that cash value life insurance, when property construction, or fixed index annuity, when property construction, can provide to the family, because
Mm.
it reduces or eliminates both debt and tax, like debt and taxes, like I showed there,
Yep.
but risk in retirement that people do not understand. And I've got hundreds of clients, multimillionaires.
Yeah.
And again, these people have all their money in stocks and bonds and money market funds and CDs
Mm-hmm.
and mutual funds. You realize a mutual fund, their fees are over 4%. And one of the
Mm-hmm.
things I tell people, I said, why are you saving in your 401k? And they said, well, it's a tax deduction. I said, no, it's a tax compounder. We've got a $37 trillion deficit right now and growing.
Mm-hmm.
People need to understand our unfunded liabilities down the future. I believe it's over $217 trillion just for Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. People have no idea about this. So what are they going to do? They're going to raise taxes. They're going to raise taxes on the small majority of us that pay taxes, because there's a lot of people that don't even pay taxes at all.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, just like a 401k, up until 2 years ago, they didn't have to disclose the fees on a 401k. Understand this, Adam. A 1% fee over a 30-year period will reduce your income by 1/3. Now, the average fee in a 401k, and this is according to Forbes magazine, the Lap Times, is over 2.99%. People are going to have less than half of their money when they go into retirement, and then they get hit with taxes anywhere from 20 to over 55%, and they're not prepared for it. It will wipe them out.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing, like the risk in retirement, that these insurance products, when properly structured, mitigate or eliminate. Let me ask you this: have you ever heard of sequence of returns risk?
No.
Well, don't feel lonely, because a lot of people don't. And this is where really upsets me, because fee-based advisors are supposed to be fiduciaries, looking out for the best interests of clients. I'm a certified financial fiduciary. But understand this: sequence returns risk will devastate your retirement. And I'll give you a perfect example. Let's say you have $1 million in your stock portfolio at 65. Now, they used to say a 4% distribution rate is a safe distribution rate, which is $40,000 a year for 30 years. Now, that takes you to 95. All my retirement products go to age 120 because they're guaranteed. But let's say that you had that $40,000 a year. Actually, it's down to 2.8%. That's $28,000. But let's say it's a $40,000. First off, it's not guaranteed. And here's what happens. The first year you have a 10% loss in the market. So that $1 million comes down to 900,000 minus the 40,000 you took out, minus the fees you pay that financial advisor, whether you make money or not. And then what happens in the next 2 to 3 years, if 2008 happens again, where we lost 38 to 52%? People are going to be out of money in the 5th year. Basically, what sequence returns risk is, if you have a down market in the first 2 to 3 years of a 10 or 20-year period, as compared to the last 2 to 3 years of a 10 or 20-year period, you're going to be out of money anywhere from the 5th to the 9th year, and people aren't prepared for it. People have to be diversified, and not, like I said, in the stock portfolio, they have to be diversified all the way across the financial spectrum. Stock portfolio, real estate, property constructed cash value life insurance, fixed index annuities. I do not deal in variable annuities because they're tied to the market, and their fees are very, very high. And I just showed you what fees will do to a stock portfolio.
Yep.
But again, it's all about education. And just people are just not prepared for it.
Yeah. Well, you're doing your part definitely to educate people by cranking out these books, man, especially the most recent one that you released. And Alan, really, it has been a pleasure having you on the show today and getting to know more about your strategies and how you're helping your clients. What's next? I mean, what's next for you? What's next for the book promo? What do you got going on?
Well, I want to let people know this too. I'm with a company. I have a team of people I work with across the United States. And my latest client, he is a dentist, and sold his practice down in Hilton Head for $8 some million. We're going to save his taxes on that. But what
Yeah.
we've done for him in the meantime, we did a tax strategy to where we're getting over $2.2 million of taxes he's paid for the last 4 years back to him.
Mm.
And we've taken his
Yeah.
401k that had over almost $1.5 million in it. We're paying all the taxes and all the penalties because he's only 51 years of age.
Mm.
And we're changing his financial future through these tax strategies and through property constructive policies. And it's not just for his beneficiaries, it's generational tax-free income that's in the tens of millions of dollars that we've
Wow.
done for him. I just had a conversation with him yesterday. And he thanked me again and again. He said, Alan, you've changed my entire life.
Yeah.
And I said, well, there's nothing better than a referral. So, but I mean, it's just not me, it's my entire team.
Of course.
We go from protecting people from losses in the market to tax strategies that people absolutely don't know about.
Yeah. How do people follow up with you, Alan? How do they connect? How do they, if they want to learn more about these strategies and work with your team, how do they do that?
Well, they can always call me at 910-551-1046. My email is strategicwealth@gmail.com. And then I have a website. It's www.strategicwealthstrategies.com. And I've got a YouTube channel also. I've got over, I think, almost 500 videos on it now. And they're not long videos. I think the longest one is about 11 minutes or so. But usually they're anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes, and they're all educational. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I want to educate you on what's out there. I'm very, very passionate about what I do. And when people, speak with me and 2 to 3 minutes in the conversation, they can tell how passionate I am about educating them, because that's what I did in the military. I was the instructor pilot. I educated, taught people the strategies to keep them alive during combat. And what I do right now, I educate people to secure their financial future.
That's wonderful. For everybody watching, just so you know, we'll definitely put some information in the show notes so that you can connect with Alan and his team. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters and you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe or follow button. This is a daily show. Each and every day, we're bringing you new content, new ideas, and hopefully new inspiration to help you along the way in your journey as well. So again, hit that subscribe or follow button. And Alan, man, it really has been a pleasure. Thank you again so much for coming on the show.
Well, thank you for having me.